We went from 1,563 to 1,930 over that 10-year span. This graph shows from 1992 through 24-25. The source of this graph is the NCES, National Center of Educational Statistics, out of Washington, D.C. The green line is students. So the student enrollment has went up 97% in that time span. Teacher employment has went up 72%. So the student growth has outgrown the teacher rate. Part of the reason that we're here is these additions that are be bringing housing into our district. In the last 2 weeks, I've driven through all these additions, put eyes on them. Ones that had lot sticks, we counted lot sticks. Other ones we called. One of the misconceptions out there was home creations. Everybody was saying it was 100 homes. It's not. It's 43 currently platted. They do have more land, but they haven't platted them yet, so there's no number of homes on that. And that's not even for sure. That's if their first 43 make it. But hard number is right now there's 317 homes that have had dirt turned or available to start building on right now. I put this for an outlier. In the next 3 or 4 years when Newcastle starts building that hospital, I'm sure that number will fluctuate some. Because I think we're in one of the rings outside the hospital for growth. Because that's going to employ 600 people. What we've used in this slide deck for assumption for our growth, we know there's going to be 317 homes. Time frame could be really fast, could string out over more than 5 years, could be 10 years. We don't know. But in that, I've used 3 lines of thinking. 1 student per home, 1.25 students per home, 1.5 students per home. Where I got that number, took the state averages that the state's using. And in our area, Bridge Creek is growing 4 to 5 times faster than the state. So I took the state numbers, multiplied it by 4 and 5, that's my 2 ends, and then a middle number is where I got the 1.25, and the 1.5. So on the most aggressive side for our area, or for the state, it's 0.3 kids per home. Multiply that by 5, you get 1.5. That's where I got for the most aggressive. So there's the data line I showed you at the beginning, plus all 3 data lines of what it could look like on that growth. Hard number is anywhere from 2,245 to 2,405 on growth over, I've got it spread over the next 5 years. Because that's the estimate on some of the major additions. That's what they're shooting for, is over the next 5 years. What does that mean? If we want our average class size right now, between elementary and middle and high, if you add them together, is 24 kids per class. Okay? If you do 317 kids by 24 class, that means in the next 5 years, we would need 13 additional classrooms. That's assuming we keep the portables we have right now. That's just status quo and just covering the kids we have. If you take the moderate growth, which was the 1.25, that would mean we need 17 classrooms. Still need some of the portables. Aggressive, which is the 1.5, we need 20 classrooms, which would remove most of the portables. Still may need one for some elective stuff, but all the core stuff would be pretty much maintained. So now if you get into bonds, what can bonds pay for? Bonds can pay for capital improvements, which includes what's under listed, the construction, safety, security, and technology. You can have a transportation bond, and then you can use bond money for instructional materials. It's all you can use bond money for. I'll stop here. Just any questions to this point?
Yeah, instead of using your numbers,
Mm-hmm.
if you were to use the actual state's numbers on growth, what would it be?
I think the lowest is 0.25, 0.3, 0.25, 0.25, 0.27, 0.275, and 0.3.
So a quarter of a kid to a third.
But
of a kid.
where I got that number still says Bridge Creek's growing 4 to 5 times more than that.
Yeah, it's, I'll have to disagree with you.
Like, now you can Google it and find those numbers, because that's what's up there. Our last projects, the bonds that we've ran since 2005, which is the prior superintendent and myself. This is where the monies went to, and I put that out on Facebook. It's the same graphic that I put out on Facebook. With that and the growth coming, our board has put some goals out that we're trying to meet. Our goals are to add classroom space at all sites, whatever form that may take. Our goal is to remove portables for safety purposes and for they just don't last very long. 3 and 4 are some other goals we have, but those are not our top. That's why they're not at the top. Our estimated bond amount that we looked at last time was around $46 million. As of today, that number is probably going down because interest rates are rising.
What's the locker room space? Is that for a particular sport or for several?
Well, it's not been decided yet. It's just,
Okay.
that's just one of the, because if you
With
look at,
growth, you're gonna have more athletes, yeah.
well, if you look at our current things right now, everybody would say they don't have enough locker room space, but that's not conceivable or, it's hard to define. But I know there are some of our sports that don't have locker rooms at all, so. Why did I lose? Okay. Just a little bit more information around along the same lines. In looking at that, if we start construction, you're looking at 2 years before we get into it. So you're looking at that 2 years of growth without any of the structures. The only way to make that work is would be portables or squeeze tight. Have everybody suck it in. This slide shows this is the the government statistics on construction costs from 2016 to 2026. And those 10 years construction costs went up 72% based on federal government's numbers. They're estimating it to go up another 30% by 2030, which in turn costs everybody more money if it were to happen. Current facilities. If you've been up here, you know where most of those are at.
What's the date on those numbers? What day are
These numbers, this is as of May 1st.
they? Okay.
And are these the enrolled numbers or the ones that they can hold?
These are the ones we ended the school year with.
Thank you.
Do we have an idea of what the enrollment's gonna be for next year?
The hard number we have is pre-K. Right now, we've got 100 kids enrolled in pre-K, and I've never had 100 kids enrolled in pre-K prior to August in the 13 years I've been here. We've already added another section of pre-K for next year. We're still working on rejecting transfers, the one rejecting transfers out, so some of those numbers will go down a little bit, but new students don't enroll until in August.
So that 100 students that you just said is just the re-enroll?
No, the 100 I just said is pre-K. We enrolled pre-K earlier.
Oh, okay.
Everybody else doesn't enroll until we have our enrollment days in late July, early
Gotcha.
August.
Okay.
And how many graduated?
124?
What's the largest class size?
100, largest class size right now is 180 and they're in 7th grade.
Going into eighth grade.
Going into 8th. So this is what we looked at earlier this year as an option. Building a new high school up on the land we have, reshuffling grade levels. So, that's a little off. 7th, 8th, and 6th, 7th, and 8th, we go to the middle school. 4th and 5th would go to the intermediate school, which is the intermediate school now. The upper elementary would be 2nd and 3rd. Pre-K through 1 would be on the south side of it, under this scenario. Another scenario that was mentioned that we're looking at, that's as a possibility, is adding on to every site. Leaving all the buildings as is, adding on to the high school, which we can add 5 classrooms, but we would have to remove 2 classrooms of the portable, so we would only gain 3. Adding on to the middle school in those 2 areas, that's assuming we'd still have enough room to drive around, because the state fire marshal is going to make us have a clear path to drive around the whole building. That's why when we added the cafeteria to the intermediate school, we had to cement that road all the way around. They want to be able to get around. Anything new, they're going to make us be able to drive all the way around. Add on to the intermediate, out the west end. That's the only place to add on to that building. 4 classrooms there. And then add on to the ECC. Where you would add on, you would have to move the administration offices out because you couldn't get to them from the parking lot without walking through the school. That's a safety issue. So you'd have to move the administration offices out front, change the administration office now to a classroom, and you would lose the portable that's sitting over there. So you'd only net, what, is it 2 or 1 or 2 classrooms on that one? 2?
What's the building on the north end of the early childhood center used for now?
Right here?
Yep.
You have music, you have occupational therapy, physical therapy, you have speech, and then you have, it's a conference room.
Okay. Because I know a long time ago that used to be an office. So why could the admin area not be moved back to that building, providing more classrooms for this down here?
Say that again?
Why could the admin area not be moved back up to that building, providing for more classrooms down here?
Because that's one little bitty office and you got 6 people in this office.
Okay.
No matter where you move, just to answer some of those questions, the way this is laid out, you can move admin to any location. If you want to move to the front and take a classroom space, it just takes a classroom space and moves it back. For instance, the one classroom space that talks about in the bottom far corner where the admin is now, we took the old admin and made the classroom. If you move admin somewhere else, you just take that classroom and move it around. You end up with the same number. It just depends on where you want to move that admin.
Right, that's what I'm getting at.
But you could.
He mentioned the safety aspect of it. So, I mean, the safety aspect of it to me make more sense to put the admin building out towards the road.
And then when we get to that part, we can add that to the list.
Now, on these, you keep saying you need to remove the portables. I mean, I see that they're in the way of what you wanna do, but you could just move them. And
Yeah.
still utilize them.
You could. But if you go back to the growth we looked at, this only gets you what, is it 12 classrooms?
Well, this,
So you would have to move the portables somewhere.
Yeah, so they're still being used.
they'll still be used. If we skip back to, the original plan on this is looking at a 3 to 5 year growth plan based on those homes. The goal in the district is to plan out ahead, so you don't end up like Blanchard, where you open a school and you're full the day you move in. And the district comes back to you and does another bond issue, and everyone feels like you're asking for a bond issue every 4 years. So based on that, as well as the cost of things going up at 8% a year, you're better off to do it now and planning. You can still move portables, the district can still keep portables. Right now, the growth pattern, he said, was 3 to 5 years was looking at a minimum of 13 classrooms, and that did not get rid of any portables, by the way. So that one would be moved somewhere. This option gives us 13 classrooms, so this one gets you basically where you are today,
Yeah.
5 years from now.
But you're also using inflated numbers to get to that many kids.
Say that again?
You're using inflated numbers to get to that many kids.
But even if we want to use the number you had of 0.5, that's still 7 classrooms.
But it's 0.25, or 0.27, 0.23, or 0.3. It's, yeah, it's minuscule.
That's your opinion.
Yeah, that's what
This is the research numbers we used. I mean, so we're gonna have to agree to disagree on that number and move on.
Well, even if you average those two numbers, you're still in classrooms.
And like we had done it before, where we had built the high school, and as soon as it was open, you know, it was basically, too full. So it's better to plan and have space instead of opening it and like, oh gee, they didn't help us too much, so I got portables or something, so you need to plan accordingly. 'Cause I don't think everybody's just gonna do mass exodus out of Bridge Creek. I mean, I've been here over 25 years, and it hasn't gone down the population.
And then even at that, with the safe rooms in all the buildings, you've got so many kids having to use those safe rooms and utilize them, that they're wall-to-wall kids. When we do fire drills or tornado drills, and we walk across the street to early childhood, we are literally putting 4 and 5 classes of kids in there. So you're looking at 100 to 125 people in that little room. So
Isn't that the one that the whole hallway is a safe room?
it's not the whole hall,
No, it's only a room.
It is.
but they make us go into the rooms. We have to go into the rooms and lock them.
Now, one end of that hallway doesn't have a safety door on it.
That
The
whole
other
hallway
end.
is a safety room as well.
Well, that's not a FEMA-approved safe room, that becomes a safe harbor space. It's not a safe room. There's two different,
It has a
legal
glass door
definitions of
in,
that.
and the glass door would have impact, something good.
but in any build, safe rooms will have to be factored in based on capacity of the school. So even if we add on, we still have to look at what the population of the school is gonna be and what the capacity of the safe rooms is, and we may have to add on in that, correct?
Yeah, that's actually a state law now. They've updated the International Building Code to be adopted by the state. We're on 18 now, they're adopting 24, and that's in September, as passed by our legislature. So all schools, not including Bridge Creek, will be required to have enough shelter space for students and staff.
So another question on your thing, it says total classrooms gained is 13. Is that including keeping that portable that you have titled as remove portable? Okay,
I think on the remove, all they're gonna do is put it somewhere else.
okay. So it's not like removing
It's
it
not
completely,
gone.
it's just
We're gonna- And
rotated.
the reason this is added on this long middle building, there's only that spot to add on to without cutting into a classroom and taking a classroom out, because this is the side entrance.
So maybe that slide could change to say move portable instead of
Yeah,
remove.
that's,
Or just
Yeah.
relocate on it.
Yeah.
Instead of remove.
So, yeah.
so,
What's the term?
Okay, thank you. That was mine.
And did you?
What?
Never mind.
go ahead.
I was gonna say, did did you mark the portables that's on the intermediate side also? Because
Well,
we-
no, it's still right here.
Okay, 'cause
It's not,
No.
adding on here, we don't have to move it,
okay.
because it's still right there. That's just part of the continued proposed pod projects that was on the list. Now, and I know we got into the questions a little bit earlier, but what? Yeah, I mean, if you gotta look at, we gotta look at two things. We gotta look at if we're gonna build, if the board's gonna pass a resolution, we have to look at efficiency of a building, but that building also has to be functional. Because there are certain things in what we do day to day, we can't not do because they're federally mandated. And that has to go around special education, Title I services, all those kind of things that have to have some mandated and areas that are their own. So what we suggested back in whenever it was, what are some other suggestions in water up here that you see as options to improve student growth or to prepare for student growth? Whether it's 0.25 or 1.25, we're gonna grow.
Well, have you?
We're not gonna get smaller.
Okay, what have you looked at that doesn't require a bump?
A what?
That does not require a bump?
In my opinion, I put a wall in every room I can put a wall in to make another room.
What about different teaching models?
So what do you mean different teaching models? Explain that.
Well, like we talked about the roaming, floating, traveling teacher model, but there's also,
I'm so sorry. I'm sorry.
that's just lazy if you can't accept that.
Let's not get disrespectful in here. Either way, there are countries that do the roaming teacher model.
They do it in Oklahoma too. There's co-teaching,
We already do co-teaching.
there's the open concept model.
What do you mean by open concept model?
You'd have to look it up, I can't explain all these to
I
you.
can tell you open concept model, because I've been to a school and we're teaching and stuff with open concept, and that's where the walls don't go all the way to the ceilings. You have to have very quiet classrooms unless you're disrupting the other classrooms. The center of that school was the library, and there's really not any walls all the way, but you do have some walls, and it's all open, because you can hear the next classroom over and everywhere, so.
Independent middle school in Yukon used to be like
Yeah,
that.
it's basically portable walls, they have to move them out, make room larger they can.
It's,
That's not what I was reading up on.
well,
That's the ones.
Well,
I've seen.
explain, what were you?
What I was reading up on is that basically it's two teachers with one large class.
Well, we do that for co-teaching.
no, he's talking
That's-
two teachers with one really large, I can't remember what it says, co-teaching is when.
But we also have student requirements of the state law, House Bill 1017's one teacher, 20 students. When you get to high school and middle school, you can only teach 140 students a day. And we're doing that.
You got the blended learning model, basically an A/B block. You got split shift model. You
Which
got,
takes more faculty.
you know.
But aren't we gonna have to hire more teachers anyways?
You hire teachers based on the student growth,
Right,
but
and,
that's gonna come off of a different funding mechanism. And sometimes yes, eventually we will.
I mean,
But even if you have 120, let's just say 100 students, and you do a split block, it doesn't matter, you get to 200 students, it's gonna require double the amount of teachers.
Gotcha.
As the student grows, it's gonna require more and more teachers. Because I taught on a block, and I taught 2 classes a day.
have you looked into any of these? To
No.
where You don't have to.
We did an A/B block one time, guys.
That was before me.
I know, we did that at the
I
high
mean,
school.
that should be something that's looked into before asking.
But
for
that-
money.
But to me, that's on the instruction side. That doesn't save you kid space side, because you still can't put any more kids in a classroom.
But you can.
But you
Especially
can't.
with the Roman teacher.
No, you can't have room with teachers, because you have a set size. If I'm gonna change you into another classroom to teach math, I'm willing to teach that how many, like 24 in each classroom. If I have more than 24 students or 25, and I'm gonna go to the next one, 25, and you're saying the students will never leave that classroom, because I'm gonna rotate, right? Where are you gonna put all the extra students? If all our classrooms are full, it doesn't matter if I go to a classroom or if I stay in my classroom. You still have the same amount of students, or more. I mean,
You
No,
got,
because,
you.
because those kids will have, there will be an empty whole classroom when all of those kids have to go do their extracurricular stuff. Their sports, or they're going off-site for VOTEC, or
Susan,
things like that. That leaves an empty space, a whole empty classroom all at once, instead of 1 or 2 or 3 kids at each classroom missing at a time. You always have a full classroom through the whole thing. And that's how
so
it
do you
saves
know
space.
any schools that do that so I can go look at them?
Yeah, Deer Creek, Shawnee, Tulsa, I could give you a list. Moore, Edmond,
I know, Moore doesn't. I know the superintendent.
Moore Middle School.
But that's one school that has that has
Those are
way,
models to
but,
look at.
huh?
Those are models to look at.
Okay, I'm not gonna, I haven't researched it, I'm not gonna say.
is that for pre-K through 12, or is that just middle school and high school ages?
For some of these schools, it's the entire thing. For other schools, it's just certain,
It's not
it's just
for more.
certain, grades. It depends on.
Say,
It's not for more, because I work for more.
And my daughter's in Moore, which middle school is it in Moore? My daughter works for
I'll
Moore.
get you a list.
okay.
Okay, I was just wondering if it's
Yeah.
all the way up, because
I'll ask her about it.
But that's something to look at, because that saves space.
So,
But I'll say this on the education side, saving space does not mean better education.
No.
Well.
And we can get into that argument back and forth,
we
but
can
just
get into
because,
some of the things that I saw out there.
but because we're thinking we're making a more efficient classroom doesn't mean we're making a better classroom. Just because we want desks and rows doesn't mean the students are gonna learn better. Just because the desks are at, students are at tables doesn't mean the students are gonna learn better. I mean, you can argue all that all day long. Where we're at is we need room.
No, I didn't, the only other thing I can tell you is you got a lot of wasted space.
That's your opinion.
A lot of it.
I have a
I know you wanna knock the gym out, put walls in the gym and make
That's not a
classrooms.
gym, that's an
Well-
event center.
That's okay. But anyway, so, yes.
Can I ask a clarifying
Sure.
question, because I'm curious, and maybe it'll kind of help? Because you said that, there's these empty rooms that are always, as it stands now, and this is not matter good, it's just a question for information. Now I've been in education, I've been in private school education for 15 years, so I've worked in very small spaces and shared classrooms, I've traveled, I've been able to stay, I understand the difficulties of that, and the the beauty of actually having your own space and not having to pick up, carts of books in 3 minutes and transfer. So I get that, so just to clarify.
Okay.
So I guess my question is, as it stands, like how much empty classroom is let's say in the high school, right? Is it the teachers stay and then they have like their plan period at this time, and then they leave? Or is that, can you help clarify?
I've got 3 teachers in the high school that go to multiple rooms.
Okay,
They go to 7 different rooms throughout the day, those 3 teachers.
sure.
I've got 2 in the middle school that go to the open rooms. But also in the middle school, I've got 4 or 5 teachers that don't have a planning period, they're teaching all day, so their rooms are never open.
Right.
At the intermediate school, I think there's 1 open room, but it's not gonna be open next year.
Okay.
At the early childhood, there's gonna be 1 open in that portable that we were discussing.
Okay. So you're saying that just kind of clarifying that it's not like there's an open room every single hour
No.
at this point that we can make that adjustment to clarify. Okay.
No.
Was that kind of what you were thinking was happening, or?
No,
I'm just trying to help understand,
As far as, empty space?
yes.
There's a lot of empty space, like, most of it's athletics. There's stuff that isn't used for probably most of the year,
Which space is that?
like that basketball event center thing over there.
Okay, and
Yeah.
I'm not trying to argue that.
Yeah, we went on the
that
tour
doesn't
with
help.
Enormous, it's tens of thousands of square feet
Okay,
of wasted
so
space.
what should happen with that? Should we put high school classes in there, middle school classes in there?
Well, considering it's already in what, the middle school, your 8th and 9th grade, you could probably fit 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th grade in there.
So where's the basketball team gonna go?
To a gym, you got other gyms.
There's one other gym.
I mean, it's a high school. It's not the NBA. It's not OU.
Well,
But
the
you
high
would
school.
think it was when you walk in there. That thing is outrageous.
In 2016, before it was built, that one gym was overbooked with all the teams trying to use it, and they were adding, and that's why there was a need for the additional gym, so that the teams didn't have to, come to school
Okay,
at 6 AM and
I mean,
stay until 5 PM.
We
But-
probably need to get off that,
Yeah.
because that's gonna be a philosophical difference.
Mhm.
And what I need from the people that are here are things that, so I wanna ask you a question, but based on our conversation that we had when we were walking around. If you thought that a building was necessary, would you, spreading all the buildings, all the rooms out at each site would be more efficient, or building a new entire building to spread out the growth?
I don't like the idea of building a new building at all.
Okay?
At all.
Why?
One, because you're building something that's gonna be defunct at some point in time. And it just is.
Okay?
I mean, you're already in your own point of view, or saying that the 15-year-old high school is defunct for what it's used for.
No, I'm not saying the high school necessarily is. I'm saying the district as a whole is. Because I'm gonna need rooms everywhere.
Right, but you're saying that building isn't big enough to house what it already houses.
Without adding on.
Right.
Because every room's
And
full.
that's only 15 years old. 15 years is nothing for a commercial building.
I would agree if we weren't growing.
Yeah.
When that building was built, it was built for 450 students.
And the design of that building, I'm sorry. That thing, there's a ton of weird space in that building.
But I'll speak for me. I don't live in the same house I lived in 20 years ago. I've upgraded my house. My parents didn't have air conditioning when they got married, but then they got air conditioning. Why would we not want better for our kids as we continue to improve and get bigger?
Well, I do want better for the kids' education. The problem is they're not getting a better education in these buildings. Just because it's a new building doesn't mean they're getting a good education.
I bet you I could find some research out there that says the building impacts the education.
I have a question, so I can understand on some of your things too, so if, just say if, you had a chance to design a new building, I would imagine that you're thinking like the foyer when you walk in, it's like big, open and grand, and that's a lot of wasted space. Yeah, right? They could tone it down a little bit.
Always as wide as they are, wasted
Yeah.
space.
But in that, what you just said, that the building's defunct, we're still using it.
Well, no, I'm not saying that building's defunct. I think it's completely usable. I think that like certain walls need to be moved around and things need to be made more square and less the way it is.
Well, we can build a metal barn that's square and tees off. That's
But
been done before.
I don't think you need to build it. I think you could revamp what you have. And that would include this building.
But the cost is gonna be astronomical to revamp, and then also to make it sound, you're doing.
Where do you put the kids while you're revamping?
Yeah.
Because that can't be done over summer.
I think you could do parts of it. And you're talking about a 5-year project anyway.
No, we're talking about a 2-year project. The kids are coming over 5 years.
So if you build this,
Okay, so revamping the high school, that doesn't help the lower elementary, the intermediate. I'm just kind of confused, because everyone
But you're
seems to be
looking at it-
focusing around the high school.
You're looking at it as blocks. Those blocks can move, parts of those blocks. There's nothing that says the high school has to be this grade for this grade. There's nothing that says that the middle school is this grade for this grade.
Well, which, I mean, in turn, the proposal for building a new school, which I know a lot of people have looked at it as we're promoting it as a new high school because that's the easiest route to move over in that area.
Yeah, I've
But-
seen that confusion, yeah.
But we were shifting grades around then, and yes, it can be done, but even shifting walls in the high school, is that gonna make enough room where we can open up space that we need for future growth?
Well, like I said, here, I mean, looking at what you got, and I'm gonna tell you, the big sticker's gonna be that basketball stadium. That basketball stadium could get a lot of classrooms.
Kale, to gut and redesign the high school as is, how long?
Okay, I have plans on all these. I'll leave everybody to their own opinions on how you can divide space up. I will tell you, there'll be an opinion on your side, an opinion everywhere in here, but from a layout of that space, it is square except for the library. If you want to get rid of the library, you get rid of the library. But from a functional standpoint, that's an efficient building, an efficient use of space when it goes to square classrooms. Now, can we argue whether you need a computer lab or not computer lab and divide that up? That's really an administrative area, not necessarily architectural area. Same thing when it goes to, do I care if your kid has science or not? Personally, no, I just design the science rooms. You can do them two different ways. We try to do them more efficient now. If you look at the one you did, we tried to do one lab and 2 classrooms off of it, so they share. That was a newer thing now, so you don't have the expensive part of it's a lab. The high school now kind of has a lab classroom in one space. If you look at the new one they built, it's not that way. We share. And I think that's what we can do in the future as well.
That's another thing where you have space that's empty, so when this class is in the lab, who's in that class?
Say that again.
So when this class goes to the lab, who's in that class?
That class, they go back and forth.
So they don't just go to lab?
No.
No.
It's labs are integrated into that classroom's curriculum. So you can have part of the kids working on one part in the classroom, part of them in the lab, back and forth. It could be a lab day where they're just in that room for an hour, they go back to their classroom. But
You
they're,
could be working on remediation with the kids that need extra help in the classroom, while the other kids are on their own doing the lab and monitoring both rooms.
So both rooms are used at the same time with the same class?
at times, not
At
all the
times,
time.
Not all the time, but you could.
You were asking a question.
So if we build this new building with 37 classrooms, because the big thing here right now is we need space, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so if we build 37 new classrooms, how many new teachers we hiring?
It was 31 classrooms.
Okay, 31, 37,
The option was, it was
64.
31 and then option.
Okay. How many new teachers are gonna be hired at that building?
You hire those as the kids come in.
Okay.
You don't hire them right away.
So we're gonna have 31 empty classrooms
No,
with a new building.
no,
Who's gonna teach the kids?
the teachers.
So how's that
So the
creating more
so
space?
when you move the kids to the high school, when you build a new building, for the conversation, we're gonna say it's a high school, because that's what we've been talking about mostly. The high school kids move up to the new building.
Okay,
The teachers move with them,
okay,
okay? The high school that's empty, you move the middle school. Because of the size of the middle school, you've already opened up classrooms because they're not gonna require as many as those classrooms. But the middle school teachers go with them. So you have space there, because you're not utilizing all the classrooms. When you get to the intermediate, you're moving fourth and fifth up. You're not moving them into every room, you're moving them into part of the rooms. You have 4 or 5 classrooms there. Where third, fourth, and fifth is right now, third stays, second moves, so now you got 2 grades instead of 3, now you got a grade level of classroom space to grow in, and now you've got 1 grade less down in the ECC, so that opens up a grade level. So now you got 4 or 5 empty classrooms at every building.
okay. So are we dealing with a space issue, or are we dealing with a student to teacher ratio issue?
It could be both. If you don't have space, your student to teacher ratio is going to grow.
Okay, because building a new building is not gonna fix the ratio.
I think what
Do you
he's
understand what I'm
asking,
saying?
is in the beginning, when we initially move everyone,
Yeah.
how many teachers would we have to hire? Like one at each site, two at each site? Obviously,
That's-
we don't have to hire 31 teachers because we won't actually have
That's
31
based on the
everybody.
growth at that site.
Yeah, so in 2 years' time, that's what he's getting at.
And-
Well, oh, go ahead, man.
And if I'm not mistaken, I think this is what you're asking, as you get more students, then you get more money also from the state, which
To hire more
pays for that
teachers.
pays for the teachers that come, in essence, that come. Yes, there's a little bit, I think Bridge Creek adds a little to it, if I'm not mistaken, but as far as the
No,
funding,
all of our funding is,
all of the funding is from the state,
what, state, local,
state, local.
and federal.
Okay,
I mean, there's no, I
You're
mean,
talking about the 7%.
yeah.
As you get more teachers, don't you have to accept more transfers if you have extra classrooms?
not if you have extra classrooms.
So if you have empty classrooms, you don't have to.
Mhm. It goes off the teachers you hire. That's why you always hire teachers a year after.
because
And you
that-
can ask these two ladies, their classrooms will go up over 26, 27, and then we'll hire another teacher to bring them down to 23, 24.
Yeah.
Is hiring more teachers and then, having the state say, well, you've got enough teachers, you have to take more transfers, that just creates a vicious circle.
Well, the state created that circle, not me, because we weren't taking transfers up until they told us we had to.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
And we're not taking any K through 6.
For me, I think the disconnect is where, yes, the state created that circle,
Mhm.
but we're paying for that circle.
I don't like it either. I'm not in favor of it.
Because I know 80% of my property taxes go to the school.
76 if you live in this community.
Well, let's just go off of, yeah.
Yeah.
Close enough. Regardless, there's a lot of people in today's society that are tired of being taxed to death.
I'm one of them. If they did away with property tax, I'd be okay with it.
I would love it. But the problem with that is if a bond issue passes and they do away with property taxes, that's gonna destroy Bridge Creek.
But we still have to pay it till it's paid off.
Right. But your farmland's gone because they won't be able to afford it. Businesses are gone, won't be able to afford it. So on and so forth. So that, if they ended the property tax, and let's say that they ended it, period, we didn't have to pay for it, it went on to the people that had more than 5 acres of businesses, so on and so forth. It would effectively destroy any small town.
You're right. But I can't solve that problem.
Right.
My job is to, on behalf of the school, to solve the school's problems. And that problem is space for students.
So,
All those others have to be solved at a different level.
we're a small town, yes, we're growing, unfortunately, we're growing. I say that because this ain't the country anymore. We need to figure out a way to solve the problem without spending big city money. Okay? I seen something about an average in there of 24, I can't remember if that was students per teacher.
That's students per teacher.
Okay. So whenever I spoke with you during this whole bond issue thing, the average came out to 14 students per teacher. Now that's an average. That's not saying that every teacher has 14 students. That was going off of the amount of students y'all have and the amount of teachers y'all have.
But, and when you just look at total number of teachers and total number of students, it's never gonna come out the same.
Correct.
Because you have X number of teachers that we hire that by federal law can only have 10 students at a time.
Yeah.
Okay?
You
What-
have
What do those teachers teach?
special education.
Okay.
You have 4, 3, you probably have almost 20 teachers that applies to. Because you have that in special education, you have that in Title I, reading and math.
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, so you can't just look at total numbers because the math doesn't work.
So your special ed and your Title I and stuff like that, do they have one of the larger classrooms or are they
No,
in
they're
a
in-
smaller?
I've got some of them in a closet. I would call it a closet.
We've
Like-
got,
Mike and I walked through one that's an office that we've turned into a Title I room.
we've got some that even, like the empty room that's in our building right now, that's not gonna be empty next year. It was used by speech and by title when
Pretty much every day.
it was used by somebody every day. There was times that we could not go in there to use as a workroom because there was people in there in class. I mean, and they had 2 tables in there, and those tables would be full, and had kids sitting on the floor working on them.
So let me ask you this, are you a teacher?
I am.
Okay, so when you say using it as a workroom, are you talking about like planning period room?
That is a room where we go in and make copies, and where we can go in and make phone calls to parents and not have kids in the room. It's a room where we can go in and do some work if somebody has to use our classroom.
It's a very small room though.
And it's tiny.
It's
no
very
windows,
tiny.
and it's
There's
got
no
all the
windows.
computer stuff in the back of it.
Yeah.
But it's where we go, because there's times that our classrooms are used because they can't get them into the gym because there's something special going on. Or they don't want to take them out in the rain to take them across the street to go to music and go to PE.
Right.
So they keep them in our rooms. And so we vacate our space where we do our work and have our supplies and carry everything down there and work down there.
Okay. So, could there be other options for you guys to, I don't know, better facilitate the teachers for what they need to do during those times?
Ask them.
So like, for instance, utilizing this space for some of the teachers.
Well, it's still travel time to come down here and do it, because we,
Right,
And
well, and see, I don't know where you're
and
at
I'm-
in the school.
I'm gonna say,
I'm not a teacher here, yeah, I have been, right, so right now I'm a stay-at-home mom with my little boy, right? So I don't have any skin in this game, right? But from the experience, for 15 years of experience at 3 different schools, then the proximity is huge.
Right,
So proximity is huge. Also, depending on the grade level, a lot of times determines on how much stuff you're gonna have to carry, right? To carry to address things. So
and
those
what,
are some things to consider. Also, like a copier. What if, proximity is really key. So this might be a good spot, but not if you're gonna have to take 20 minutes, 5-10 minutes, depending on weather, depending on,
and
on the way to stop. So then now your planning period is what, 25 minutes?
we have 45 to 50-minute planning period. We walk our kids to where they need to go and we pick them up from where they need to go. This is elementary wise.
Good.
So we walk them there max, so we're losing 5 to 10 minutes of that time. If our rooms are being utilized, then we take a computer or we take paper and we take our books to somewhere else. We've sat in the hall, we've sat in the breezeways, we've sat in the little common areas. And, it's hard to talk and have meetings when you've got kids going back and forth and you're trying to discuss kids. Because you don't want to discuss educational or private matters where anybody near them.
Right.
And a lot of times when we sit together as a team of teachers, we're discussing what can we do different next time to help these kids do more.
Mhm.
What did you do to make this child understand this concept? How can you help me figure out what I need to do different on myself to help this child? Because I've been doing this over 30 years, but I still go talk to my co-teachers and I say, what did you do to help this? So that is where we use that space, is so that we have time that we can talk to each other. Otherwise, we're calling on the phone, we're sending a text message, we're sending an email, we're doing it after school. We're meeting at somebody's house to discuss this when we're doing it on our time.
Right.
That's my.
Well, they ban phones in school, so y'all should be reading by example.
Well, I mean, this is after school hours we're doing this.
Right. So what I'm getting at is, what can we do with the current buildings that we have to help you guys do what you have to do, where you can do it in that time? I'm not saying walk from the high school down to this office specifically. I'm saying, like, I know the high school has an office. The middle school has an office. There's offices there.
And I made that statement earlier, is I put walls up everywhere that I think we put walls up in the last 3 years
A bunch of walls.
to make space for teachers and even kids. Like, I don't know, in this building over here, the intermediate, it used to be the old entrance where you would go into Mr. Beck's office, if you know what I'm talking about. But not the one that you go in now, the one just to the west. That now has a door and a wall on this end. And it was built to be the counselor's office, because we didn't have any place for the counselor at the time.
Right.
We took the old teacher's workroom, put a door on it to make another office, because we had somebody without an office.
Right.
These are spaces that aren't big enough for students,
So
so you can't put students in.
That's what I think that we're trying to, if I'm not mistaken, what we're trying to get at is like, okay, maybe the price tag for the adding on is maybe a little bit more palatable. However, I really think we need to if they're, I say we, like, how can we make sure that the teachers also have that space, because that's also valuable.
And that's when I said you have to look at efficiency, but you also have to look at functionality.
Right.
And it's not necessarily student functionality, it's teacher functionality, because a lot of that is what keeps teachers here.
Well, I'll be honest with you, the big thing for me was seeing a $74 million price tag with 30-something million of it going to nothing, education related.
Well, they was going
To
to
the architects, to the taxes,
taxes and interest.
so on and so forth.
Wow.
Now,
So-
I mean, again, I don't create those, that's
Right.
created by how we have to bond.
Which is also a legislative situation, which and I've expressed that that's something I'm in the process of trying to figure out how can we address that so that our schools can have a better, can function more fiscally responsible instead of being hamstrung by the state in these ways. And so that's something I'm having these conversations with new coming in, state reps, like I'm like that, and I told Representative Cole Stevens, I said, that's what we need to work on. Because that right there is one of, and I know that's gonna be very, a lot of people might not like that because this is how we've always done it, and so it's gonna be different and change things up. But how can we take care of these situations? I think there has to be other ways. Right now, I think the school board and stuff, they're stuck. Bonds are the only way that they can raise funds. If I'm not mistaken, to do these capital projects.
Is it-
I think things confusing that's the number, that is a big problem in the state, not just here, by the way. I mean, you look at all these other districts doing 400 million.
Oh, yeah, I think it's stupid.
And they're not, and by the way, if you start looking into that, you look at efficiencies as well, as how far they go out. But the easiest way I always explain it is if you bought a $150,000 house, everyone's like, oh, $150,000 house. No, you did not. If you bought a 30-year mortgage, you were paying $300,000 on that. The only difference here is
We have to do it.
it's just big numbers. I mean,
And it's
just
upfront.
It's so crazy, you get 45 million and you have to get 70, which, by the way, is technically better than your house because they're getting better rates and bond rates than everybody
Well,
else.
no, because they own theirs at the end, that's still rent line.
But they have better rates, it's just such a huge number when you put those dollars compared to what we all live in today, that number gets to be crazy huge.
So question for you then, how much does your company make off of that bond?
Well, I can tell you what, our contracts are open, so the last bond that you guys did, our fees in the last bond was 6% of construction cost. Out of that 6%, that pays for architect, mechanical, electrical, structural, civil, all the engineering part of that project. That covers everything, including profit, you name it, meetings, showing up site, overseeing that for 5 years or however long it takes. So that's a 6%. So as a profit margin on that, we don't make much.
I mean, you gotta be making money or you wouldn't be doing it, right?
Oh, sure.
Otherwise, you're in the wrong line of work. Like, you can fix lawnmowers and make more money.
You bet.
So, but that's the transparency side of it. I think a lot of people are having issues with is they see a big number like 74 million, but we're only using 46.
I'll tell you the other thing that gets really weird about that, when we do bigger projects, like the high school was talked about here, things that people don't really see or know, and I'll just talk about Bridge Creek because you're different than some schools we do. Others, in Bridge Creek specifically, like if you just look at the cost of the high school, it's gonna be higher than what I do in another district. And the reason why is we're in rural water, we gotta drill some more wells, right? We don't really have fire, so what everybody doesn't like behind the high school, when you put a sprinkler system in that building, the tank behind the high school that has a fire suppression, you're doing things that
Other schools are.
Moore, Yukon, Deer Creek, we don't do in those districts. The addition, we're gonna have to build roadways, in this case, we're gonna build, that was a roadway in front of the building, which sometimes rural districts do help with county coming through and doing some of the road work, and that does save money. The problem is you can't guarantee it, right, because you're just trying to work with local districts. Bridge Creek is kind of out on its own, they really don't have a town, you're not tied to like Marlow or somebody where you're tied to a city that can really help. That's one of the downsides to Bridge Creek, in a sense, you can work with county, but they're not funding either. So those are things that run up the cost that we wouldn't normally have to see. A lot of times we try to share as much as we can, like even in some of your designs where we try to share parking lots, because it's just easier to share and use over and over and over. Eventually you run out of space and have to have parking lots and that type of stuff. You can never have enough parking lots for early childhood pickup or drop off. You can't do it for football fields, and no one ever does, just because it's not. Well,
It's not used all the time, right?
every school district in Oklahoma is no different, it's just a different dollar cost to me. When I look at it, see 74 million, I think that's not bad. Middale did 495 million. It's all relative to what it is, it's all expensive to me. And the one thing that we always try to drive in all school districts, arbitrary which ones, was the cost slide up there that we talked about with, cost of construction. Every single one in here can tell me that they're paying more for everything, right? That is really the way that our fine government, whether you like them or hate them.
I think we all kind of hate them.
It goes up, so when we talk to school districts, we try to get as much as we can for two reasons. One, because there is nothing worse than coming back to community. By the way, I have kids in school too, not this district, but it's, even though it might come back every 4 or 5 years, you're like, that was just last year. It just feels that way because of the time. All they do is come back and ask for money. So the reality is,